person.
I'm a proper guy.
I mean, I don't want to go too far back into history, but at various times you failed to actually file a tax return on time.
Yeah.
You've been accused of different financial offences. You've never been convicted, but some of those charges were never brought to court. But you tell South Africans, despite your own history, you are the guy to run their economy.
That's why. That's a mind of a lazy person who doesn't do his work. You will have to refer back to 15 years. I've grown up over a period of time, built a solid political party. The only thing you can keep on referring to is what you interviewed me about it 12 years ago. Get something new, my brother.
No, I'm very...
Show a skill of a hard-working presenter who does his research. You can't falter me. Since I've made my mistakes on tax when I was very young, when I was almost 27 years old, fixed that problem. Today, I'm a 42
Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today is not more of a reacting video, it's more of us watching this video together of Malema. I mean, there's nothing I could add. Like, he's saying what I would have said to him. You know, I would have said the same thing because uya papa leman, uya papa ulastaha, like makua apapa, like apapa candid. So I feel like Malema is doing the job for me by not even reacting to this video. Like, I don't believe in politicians. I don't believe they solve our problems as people in general. Like, we people should be able to govern ourselves. So I don't need your political party, but I like what Julius Malema is talking about. You know, I don't believe that voting is the only key component to shackling ourselves away from white monopoly capital. Like, but on this scenario, in this situation, but I always stand with Julius Malema. Well, most of the time, but I stand with Julius Malema and the things that he speaks, and this is why also I wanted to react on this video. We're gonna watch it together. I'm not gonna give an opinion at the end, it's just too long. So I'll see you in the next video and let me know your thoughts, guys.
A proper person.
I'm a proper guy.
I mean, I don't want to go too far back into history, but at various times you failed to actually file a tax return on time.
Yeah.
You've been accused of different financial offences. You've never been convicted, but some of those charges were never brought to court. But you tell South Africans, despite your own history, you are the guy to run their economy.
That's why. That's a mind of a lazy person who doesn't do his work. You will have to refer back to 15 years. I've grown up over a period of time, built a solid political party. The only thing you can keep on referring to is what you interviewed me about it 12 years ago. Get something new, my brother.
No, I'm very...
Show a skill of a hard-working presenter who does his research. You can't falter me. Since I've made my mistakes on tax when I was very young, when I was almost 27 years old, fixed that problem. Today, I'm a 42-year-old married man with children who has taken responsibility and built a solid party to be the third largest party without the support of white monopoly capital and the owners of the South African economy. You keep on referring to old things because you are now beginning to sound like a scratched CD.
You have every right.
Tell me of me now.
You have changed.
Tell me of me now. I've been in Parliament for 10 years.
Let's take one particular aspect of your policy positions.
Yes.
Do you think aligning yourself with Vladimir Putin is going to be good for South Africa?
But that's what it is now. South Africa is in alliance with Russia, with India, with Brazil, with China. So why are you asking me as if it's some policy that is going to be implemented after I took over? South Africa is in alliance with Russia now.
South Africa right now calls itself non-aligned.
In the context of the war, but these are two different things. South Africa is an ally of Russia. Now, the second question is, where does South Africa stand on the war? It says I'm a non-aligned in relation to war, but Russia remains South Africa's friend. So we cannot create confusion around there. Don't create an impression that it is Malema who's going to come and create an alliance with Russia.
But there are some very specific
Actually, I will,
if I may
I
say
will
so.
go beyond that. I will go beyond the friendship with Russia, and in the war, I will align with Russia, and I will even supply the weapons to Russia, because Russia is in a war with imperialism, and any agenda that seeks to push back imperialist agendas, it's well within the policies of the EFF.
You say quite clearly, I would arm Vladimir
Yes.
Putin.
Yes.
You know that the International Criminal Court wants Vladimir Putin to face war crimes charges.
It must start with Tony Blair. It must start with George Bush. It must go to Barack Obama. Then it can go to Putin.
So let's get this
So
straight.
let's
You're
be-
saying to me
and-
that
and
your
even-
policy, if you were in power in South Africa, is quite simple. That your enemy's enemy, and it seems you regard the US and its allies as the enemy,
Yes.
your enemy's enemy
Yes.
is your friend. Never mind if he's a suspected war criminal, never mind if the UN and the ICC say they have compelling evidence of Russian war crimes. You don't care. As far as you're concerned, my enemy's enemy is my friend.
You're exaggerating, but another point which you don't want me to go there is that Tony Blair accepted that they were wrong about Saddam Hussein to an extent that he did an apology of a thug, right? You have never called for his arrest. A man admitting that I was wrong. To how many people died?
Independent sovereign existence. He appears to believe that the best thing would be to revive an empire, the Soviet empire. But you're anti-imperialist?
We are anti-imperialist. That's a debate for another day. The war is not what he's talking. The war is about the expansion. And had there been a common ground found, this could have been avoided. We are not for imperialism, even if it were to come from Russia. If he does that, we'll condemn it. But we know for a fact that progressive forces such as China have also aligned themselves with Putin to try and create an alternative from the imperialist domination of the world. And that's what the EFF is about.
You admire China, you admire, it seems, Putin. What you seem to have as a vision for South Africa's future is much more along those lines, authoritarianism than democracy.
No, socialism is not authoritarianism.
So how can you describe China as progressive?
No, it's very progressive. China subscribed to Leninism and Marxism, where the working class control the commanding heights of the economy. And that's what we subscribe for. We are of the means of production being owned and controlled by the states. We want South Africa through the vision and the image of China, where you grow the economy, where you reduce unemployment, where you reduce poverty, and you can't take that away from China. And the state plays the central role with regard to that.
That kind of message and the messaging on Russia has seen the rand plunge against the US
it's not
dollar.
true.
Hang on, we see many corporations in South Africa looking at establishing headquarters elsewhere. We see foreign direct investment flatlining in this country. Do you believe that the rhetoric you are using is good for the South African economy?
I've been doing this from when you interviewed me 15 years ago when I was young. And therefore you can't say the rand to dollar crisis today is created by this message that I've been spreading for so many years from my early ages. And then this
No, but what
party
I'm
has been
suggesting is that the
this
new
party-
tensions between Washington and the government in South Africa have definitely affected the financial markets.
No, it was the crisis as we see it today, as we have this conversation, me and you. It was worsened by the irresponsible utterances by the ambassador of the USA, who just recklessly, without following the diplomatic protocols, went out to make certain allegations about our country, damaging its good image and then undermining its sovereignty, in terms of choosing who its friends are. And today we see the rand being weak because of such utterances. Why would the rand be weakened by a political posture that says this is what we want to be when we take over government? We want a government that will be owned by the corrupt-free. I admire China when it comes to how it deals with crime. I admire China when it comes to how it deals with infrastructural development. I admire China on how it has dealt with poverty and unemployment. How would that weaken the rand? Is that not what the investors want for all of us?
The most likely way that you can get a grip on some power in this country is by forming a coalition with the ANC after the next election. You could have a role if you were to do a deal with the ANC. Are you ready to do it?
The reality is that the EFF is the only organization that is growing, and that the DA and the ANC, the DA, which is the official opposition, ANC, which is the ruling party, are both significantly declining to a point where the DA called us the enemy number one. Why did they do so? Their own internal research tells them that the EFF has overtaken you. That's how much our policy position has attracted the people of South Africa. We are not going into coalition for positions. We are going to say anyone who wants to work with us, and we've said this before, and that's why we're not working with anyone in the local governments. If you want to work with us, you are going to expropriate land without compensation. You are going to nationalize the mines. You are going to establish a state-owned bank. You are going to make sure that we fight crime fire by fire to make this country a safer place. Those are just but minimal, non-negotiable points that will engage with anyone who wants to work with us.
All of that,
Non-negotiable.
non-negotiable. On that basis, it's hard to imagine you can make a coalition with anyone.
ANC was more than willing. Actually, ANC was at a point of signing with us on expropriation of land without compensation. Remember, we even put this in Parliament. How did it pass to a point where Parliament had to do an investigation if the ANC was not agreeing? We were almost at the edge of getting a deal. And some young ANC clowns decided to vote against this. But we're not going to retreat in returning the land back into the hands of our people. And don't tell me about Zimbabwe. This is going to be done through a democratic means, like we did, in consultation with all South Africans, black and white, on how best do we get the rest of our people owning the land and other strategic sectors of the economy.
You know there are some South Africans, and let us be blunt, many white South Africans who fear Julius Malema. Some of them have said to me, if Malema gets to power or close to power, I will leave this country. Do you welcome their fear, or do you want to find ways to overcome their fear?
I don't welcome their fear. Stephen, they said that about Mandela, the most celebrated Mandela. You're talking about me. They said if Mandela, a prisoner, becomes the president, who are leaving this country, and they left. I was in the Vaal River the other day, looking at some of the houses that whites abandoned in 1994 when Mandela became a president. They are not scared of Julius Malema. They are scared of an independent black man who's not controlled by any white person, who's not controlled by London.